Prepare for a fusion of knowledge and exhilaration where education and excitement collide.
Taking you on an adventure that expands your mind and speaks to your spirit.
I'm Master Nick.
I'm Lady D.
We are the Dom Life.
This podcast contains sexually explicit topics and adult content.
It is intended for listeners 18 and older.
The opinions expressed in this podcast are ours alone, based on our personal thoughts, feelings, and experiences.
We understand that others may have different opinions and experiences, and we respect that. We would love to hear from you. You can reach out to us at www.thedomlife.com. All right, welcome back, everybody. We're going to get back into part 2.
Part 2.
Of the
We're still on
AFK
day 1, though.
Self-Time Summit.
Zora would be so proud.
Okay.
I've talked so much.
You have
You used
She
all
and I
the
are-
words.
You
Where
have
do
been.
you not talk?
She and I are twin flames when it comes to being yappers.
I can see that. I agree with that. You make a great
I
substitute.
think that Dante
for
collects some of the most talkative women that are around. I mean,
I would agree with that.
How
As well.
talkative are you?
Me? I'm not that talkative. I
Like
feel
that?
like me and Azrael are the same.
What?
No. Azrael, well, she love her to absolute death. Loves talking to her, been around. But yeah, she is the Energizer Bunny.
but in a very monotone way. Like she just talks and talks, but she's always monotone.
Yeah. She don't
Her
really
humor.
she don't get excited. Her sarcasm, yeah, it's
She's
love
on
it.
point.
Love it. All right.
On point.
Let's get back into, we were still on day 1.
Day 1, and we're walking into Red Honey Ropes
Yep, Red Honey Ropes from Tennessee.
from Tennessee, and they were my favorite performance of the night, of the weekend, actually. And that, in case you didn't know, was their first performance. And I just felt like it was
It seemed like they had been doing it for years.
for
Yes.
years.
The main thing of it, Lady D got so in tune with it. It was like Lady D had a connection with Red Honey Ropes while doing that. I was watching the demonstration. I would look over at Lady D and just her face expressions of how Red Honey Ropes was doing things. I could tell that was going to be her favorite because she seemed to connect to Red Honey Ropes
gosh.
more than anybody.
It was like they actually it was like they communicated with rope in a way that was a little bit different, where that rope communicated to them as well.
They had like a relationship with their rope and
Yes.
with themselves doing rope.
And
Yes.
it wasn't about a performance. Like, if none of us had been there, that would have been exactly the same.
Exactly how I feel. I feel like they do that every time they tie. Like that is what they are when they tie, and it was beautiful.
Well, and when we read through the bios during the episode on the performances, and each of the bios truly line up with their
Yes.
performances.
Yes.
I get it. You write your own bio, but if you read their bio, you will understand how their performance looked.
Yes. I loved that in their performance they used the harness that they taught. I
Well,
was-
that's what I said.
And that was
And then
it.
I said, I thought that they used the same leg tie because, again, novice. And they said no, it was too different.
Right.
I was like, well, I was close.
But yes, so Red Honey Ropes did do a self-tied chest harness,
Yes, during the class.
and it was the diamond. Wasn't it like a diamond?
were
pattern?
diamond.
Yeah,
Diamond
it was like
pattern
you could
in
do
it.
2 or 3 diamonds depending on how long your torso was.
Right.
Short torso.
Mhm.
Short
Yep.
torso. And they also did a tie on the leg
Yes.
during the class.
Now, is there anything in particular? So the tie that they done, they had their leg bent, and they tied from their thigh down to their shin.
They were teaching a fudo, right?
I believe
So
so.
is that what that's called?
It's
is
called a
that,
fudonomo, and I really struggle with them. And I haven't attempted to tie it on somebody else, but it is very hard for me to tie on my own body because I am very short and very thick, and my thighs are thick. And it's hard for me to get all the way around all the parts of my own body that I need to tie it. So they had a very different body type than I have.
right.
And rope works different on everybody, and self-tying is different on everybody based on the kind of body that you have and your skill level with rope. And I consider myself to be probably intermediate with rope, but oh my gosh, that was really hard for me to tie
Well,
just
Right.
because of how my body is.
Fudos are hard in general because of the angle, because the rope is constantly trying to go to that smaller part of your leg. So you're like at a triangle and it's wanting to go off. And there's also a million ways to tie Fudos.
Yeah, that was only one way of tying
There's
it, and there are so
so
many
many
different
different ways.
variations. Yeah.
Well, Air tied a harness too during theirs a little bit earlier. And what I noticed with Airs when they were tying their harness, I totally lost it. There was something totally different between the two harnesses, and it was just something when they tied it.
Are you talking about the chest harnesses?
Uh-huh. The chest harness. So Air had done one. Forget it. My brain is not.
Are you
gonna
talking
pull it
about
up.
Air tying the single column down
Oh, yeah.
here?
Here's
and
what I was gonna
hiking
say.
up
Yep.
over their
Well,
chest?
and what I was going to say was this. All right, let's start it. So Air tied a harness too. And when Air did their harness, they had their hands behind their back the whole damn time.
Yes.
Do you remember? Like, I cannot, I put my arms behind my back and went,
It's very
I don't think I'm going to
difficult.
be able to do that
It's
because
very difficult.
they literally twisted it around so that it's all through the back. And I'm like, as a self-tire, which I'm not, I'm like, novice, but I don't know that I could do that because I can't keep my arms back there for that long.
It's very hard on your body.
And I can't see the
especially
knots.
for people that have a lot of chronic pain or chronic illnesses. So if you have things with your muscles or your joints, or you have chronic fatigue or anything like that,
Or you're old.
which
That's my
involves
problem.
chronic
That's my
fatigue and
problem.
chronic.
it's
I'm
yeah.
just
But
old.
So
tying
my-
behind your back is already so exhausting that
hard.
when you have any of those things added onto it, it's difficult.
Well, I have a shoulder injury just from when we started working out. I've never had problems with my shoulders. I do have problems with my my neck. I had a fracture there many years ago, but my shoulder, I hurt it, and I was like, "You want me? Nope. I'm not even going to try." So I stopped during the harnesses, each of the harnesses. Now I did get the first part of Honey's tie on the front, and I've got it, but I didn't have it spaced quite right. And then once we got it over your shoulders and we were doing that, I was like, okay.
And they have an obsession with X frictions, and an X friction behind your back is very hard to
it's
do.
so difficult, yeah.
And it
And
was-
there are a lot of harnesses that you can tie that are primarily in the front, where when you're tying it in the back, you're basically just locking it off with a half hitch, or you're reversing the tension to keep the tension where it is, but then you're bringing it back to the front.
Right.
And those are more
Right,
self-tie friendly.
We did the one, I was able to do the one where we create
It's the Shinju, the two
Yes.
columns in the stem in the front. Mhm.
Yes, I was able to do that. I got through all of that. The biggest thing is smiley face versus frowny face. So figuring out, and again, hey, if you're interested, we've done some podcasts on rope, but that was figuring out which way you need to go so that the rope is going in the right direction. But yes, so
Okay. So getting back to Red Honey Ropes and their teaching.
Red Honey Ropes
Yes.
did the chest harness with the diamonds, and then they used that in the performance, like we said,
Yes.
and then they did I keep calling it a frog tie because your leg
Like,
is
yeah.
together. Is there
A
an
fudo.
actual
A fudo,
fudo?
yeah.
But is
Did
there
you
a
see the
term?
frown come on her face when you said frog tie?
I was trying to figure out what you were talking about.
Because it's
Okay.
like the leg and the
Yes.
fudo, but it's like always the leg together,
Yes.
and they tied that for a chunk of time where it's like and so I sent a message when we were doing it. I'm like, you did the same tie, and they said no. It's different ties. I'm like, damn it. It looked the same to my novice eyes. But I saw you guys were doing it. You were back by then, right? Were you part of the class?
I was in Red Honey's class, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
what did you enjoy the most about it?
So I had tied the diamond harness before, but as a full body, it's called a rope dress harness. And I had never tied it just as a chest harness. And I had been wanting to learn that. So that was very interesting for me. I do have chronic pain and chronic illnesses, and self-tying sometimes can be a bit exhausting. So I feel that I underestimated how exhausting it would be tying behind my back, because I do tie behind my back a good amount, but it has never been, like you said, the so many X frictions and lock offs that you're doing behind your back. And it was just very difficult for me to do so much tying behind my back that was so detailed and intricate. I mostly, do a reverse friction, or I'm doing a quick half hitch lock off and then bringing the rope back down to the front, back over to the front to tie. But I really did enjoy that class. I think my main thing was, oh my God, it was so hot.
It was so, and we were there all day.
Yep.
You're complaining, and you showed up for, the afternoon.
I know.
So the final class of that day, and it really showed that everybody was wearing out. Not you guys, because you guys got there later, but everybody was ready to end it a little bit earlier. They enjoyed the tie, and then it was like, I think they asked, what things do you guys want to learn? Like, here, we've already covered so many different things, and everybody had stuff that they'd want. And so they did specific ties based on the class's desire. But even still, all of a sudden you look around the room and half the people are just laying there watching.
Like, do we want to learn anything else? My brain is kind of full.
And it is very warm. So, so then the last one was Dirt Queen. And Dirt Queen did it a little bit different, and I really enjoyed it because they made us do ties on all, like, the lower body harnesses. Now, I've never really seen a lot of that, because when you've been at the club or when we did the boot camp, it was all kind of upper body.
Oh, I'm not doing crotch rope on people I don't know. I'll stick to chest harnesses when we're, out and about in that kind of environment. So I really only get into crotch rope with people that I know and care about. I'm going to be digging all up in there.
That's hilarious. But she did legs, like she did ankles. Feel what the rope feels like when you do a single column on this, and this. So she was kind of going through the safety of tying your legs and the different places that are do and don't spots. And I really appreciated that as a novice, getting to know what it feels like when you take the rope around different parts of your body. And then they were asked to do a butt harness. You remember, like, I don't know if that's what it's called. But you guys did it.
It was a booty basket.
Something that you can sit on when you're suspended up.
A booty basket.
Or what would that be?
Are you
The
so
knock-up
confusing?
panties?
I don't remember this.
Because it was hot and we were tired.
I'm so sorry. I don't remember this.
Yeah, neither do I.
It's gotta be
okay.
a booty
You don't
basket.
remember the ties along the butts?
No.
You were not tying, I don't think. I think you were sitting down.
It was hot.
Yeah, but
But-
they did.
Because Pepper did.
Mm-hmm.
I don't even know if I can say that, but Pepper was up there doing the ties, and you guys were in front of where me and Milady K. Pepper walked up to the front, and then I was just watching your butts. It was nice. I didn't tie at all.
It was a booty basket.
And if you don't have it
because-
right, you're lopsided. That's what they were explaining,
because,
or
I
she was
remember
explaining.
because I was like, I want to know to do a different booty basket because I have lower back pain.
That's
Oh, yes.
now. Do you remember?
No.
Oh yes. No.
Oh, yes.
Okay.
Good to adjust based on your lower body pain. I still don't remember this. I would love to say that one thing I really appreciated is that I reached out to Snap Ginger before the entire self-tie summit and asked for certain accommodations, and they were really accommodating about that. I'm hard of hearing and I read lips. I rely on reading lips a lot to understand information. So if I was sitting even one or two mats back, I wouldn't have been able to, and I know that sometimes it sucks to not be able to see everything that somebody is doing, but I wouldn't have been able to hear or understand any of the information that everybody else was getting to understand, and it wouldn't have been accessible for me.
Right.
So Snap Ginger has been putting out cones for accessibility on one spot that's in the front so that I'm able to come in, and it's for anybody who needs an accessible spot.
Right.
But I did reach out to them beforehand asking about that, and I so appreciated that was something that they were
That's
willing to do for me.
huge. That's huge, because otherwise, why would you even be able? You wouldn't even be able to attend. It wouldn't. It would
Exactly.
give you nothing.
Exactly.
Right.
Yep. To be able to have the same access for information that everybody else has.
All right. So going on to day 2,
Day 2,
which was the
we
day.
love this because I was not there.
That was the
So
day
my
we was
talking just
unavailable.
goes. Woo, pew.
So day 2 started with Snap Ginger.
Okay, perfect.
teaching class. You walked into the space and every mat had a suspension rig, and it was a really cool sight to see.
Every single station that you had to sit on was under a rig.
Yes, it was so cool. They asked that like 2 or 3 people go to a rig, and Snap Ginger started the class with a PowerPoint explaining like the basics of suspension, starting with obviously rack and your consent and knowing your own body and things like that.
That was something that was really helpful because I was primarily there that weekend, the entire weekend, looking forward to getting the tools in my toolbox for suspension.
Right.
Self-suspension, suspension for others. I've been in a place in my journey where I feel a bit stagnant, and I hate to say it, but a bit bored, and I want to do more. And I've been waiting for a suspension class that I have been interested in going to, because I'm at the point in my journey where at first I said I would only bottom. I never wanted to tie. And then I started tying myself, but I never thought about tying anybody else. And then I started tying other people, but I said I'll never get into suspension. And then I was like, all right, I'm finally ready, because it took me every single step of the way to come to terms with where I was at on my journey. And I was finally so looking forward to it. So I was most excited about the classes on Sunday. And Snap Ginger did such a good job going through all of the such basic information. Where do you get your gear? What kind of gear do you need? What are like all of the introductions to what kinds of rigs are there? What is safe to tie on? Where would you want to tie versus not want to tie? What are the pros and cons of each rig? How do you suspend from a tree safely? There's all kinds of things that it's like you've seen people do it and you're interested in getting into it, but like how do you even get started? Where do you start?
And you're not comfortable asking that. You wanted a class where somebody that you trust and know was teaching.
I'm not looking this up on YouTube. No. Like, I want reliable information, especially if I'm putting my safety or anybody else's safety at risk. Not in a negative way, but all rope is risky. I want concrete information to rely on.
Right.
And Snap Ginger does self-suspension class like every 3 to 4 months. So this was their self-suspension class that they personally do. They
cut it down a bit.
Yeah, cut it down a little bit, but like the PowerPoint was great. It went over like a lot of stuff, like the scientific stuff of it too, like kilonewtons, like what you need your gear to like what can
be weight tested, weight rated
and
gear,
because it's different.
Yep.
She did explain that during one of the education things that we did, that you don't necessarily know.
And how do you evaluate a hard point? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah. And then how do you know what's weight rated and how much weight it can hold? And then it was stagnant weight versus
movement.
Yeah, because you're gonna weigh more if you're moving versus not. And then when you're moving, it could compromise the rig. And and it was a lot of different stuff. And then like
and the rigs that fall over.
Yeah, and you got to think about if your carabiner is open, that's a whole different safety rating for your kilonewtons versus if it's closed and locked in. All this stuff that like I would have never really like thought of on my own.
So you were at the point where you were ready. You were ready to suspend yourself. So again, having this summit of 2 days, it's 3 days full, but 2 days of education, it got you where, okay, the one day you got to see half of the events. And then the next day you got on the very first class on day 2, you were talking and doing suspension. Did you do any?
So the first class was all intro to suspension, and then the second class was, okay, how do you put this in practice? What are the tips and tricks for as somebody who's wanting to self-suspend?
And that
What
was
are
done with air,
air.
correct?
and that was done with air. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they Snapgender had expressed to me the night before or whatever, that they had kind of tweaked their classes a little bit because they have such similar teaching styles to kind of bounce off of each other. And
Yeah,
a lot
because
of,
originally their class said TBD. I'm like,
Yeah.
to be determined. What are you
Right.
going to teach?
yeah, and a lot of the things that when air came on, over to the front rig to start presenting for their class, it was, oh, that was such an amazing intro to suspension. It wasn't even suspension 101. It went further than that, and not took away from their class, but dipped into some of the things that they wanted to share. So they were then able to tweak it, and they bounced off of each other for, they shared this, so now I get to share that and take you in the next step.
That's awesome.
I feel like going into the second class, air was much more open to questions and stuff too, which is great. We got to actually have more discussion time in the class because there was a lot of people who had never suspended before.
Yeah,
Like,
me. If I had attended,
Yeah.
I would have been like,
So
okay, I'm going to sit and watch.
The first class was Snapgender. We were taught like the upline, how to actually do it and everything, and then we suspended like our bags. So like you left for lunch and you look at all the rigs and everybody's bags suspended.
Yep.
It was really funny. And like we
Man, I wish I had a picture of
and
that.
it was really cool. And then like during the lunch break, we practice our uplines because we really want to make sure during air's class we could actually get in the air, and we're able to.
Yeah. They taught what they called a giant rope carabiner. You can also just call it a big open loop, but it's basically tying a huge single column around your hard point, around the top of your rig, and it's non-collapse, like it collapses onto itself, so it's sturdy, and then it's
Right.
basically just an aerial loop, and you can sit in it, you can lay in it, you can swing in it, you
Aw.
can put whatever weight you want into
I
it.
want to do that.
Yeah, so you just tie this giant single column, and then it's an open loop. And what they were teaching it is for, as a self suspender, you are spending so much energy using your body muscles in the rope and then having to fucking tie in the air. How are these? I don't understand how these people are tying their uplines while all their weight is in it. I still don't
Muscles.
understand. I need to go to the gym
Muscles,
more.
yeah.
But this was as a tip and trick for, while you have all this going on and you're spending so much energy, this big open loop, this big rope carabiner, you can lean on it, you can grab onto it to hold onto
I've
it. It's
seen
extra
during the
support.
performance
Yes.
that where they were.
They
I don't
had-
even know who it
Well,
was.
It was Air had the big loop, and they used it for their hand. They use it not as like necessarily suspension, but as a tool for
Support.
suspension.
Right.
Yes.
To
Like-
kind of set and take a little bit
Yes,
of a breather.
like yes, you can pull yourself with it with your hands. You can put your foot in it and anchor yourself up, so you can hoist your
Distribute more
uplines.
weight.
Yes, and it was
Yes.
just a very
Right.
useful tool and like a good starting point. Like I never
Cool.
thought of doing it.
Yes. So I actually had my very first experience of suspending myself on Thursday, 2 days ago. And I did that leg tie that I mentioned earlier, called a thigh cage or a thigh harness, and people also call it a dragon back. And I tied that, and I ran my upline from that thigh harness to my hard point. But I didn't necessarily want to tie an entire chest harness and then tie an upline and lock it off and be stuck in it, especially as somebody, this is my very first suspension. I had a spotter, and I didn't want to be in something where I was stuck and maybe something gets uncomfortable, and it takes everything that you have to tie, you have to untie.
Untie,
You
that's
have to get out of it, and you're responsible for yourself. Nobody's coming. I mean, you have a spotter for sure, but nobody's coming to help you unless it's a situation where you call and ask for help. This is on you. Everything is on
Right.
you. So instead of tying a chest harness, I used an extra carabiner on the hard point, and I went and threw one of those big open loops onto the carabiner, and I used it to distribute my weight instead of a chest harness. It was big and open, so I could climb in and out of it as much as I wanted. And that was tip and trick was so helpful.
They went into a lot about mindset too, about labbing. Like they're very big into labbing, and I really appreciated.
What does labbing mean?
Labbing is like when you're doing a rope and you want to like try something out, like
Practicing.
yeah,
It's
practicing.
all
But I feel like with the creative twist, like if you are trying to problem solve something in rope, you can lab it out. So you're just going in, seeing, oh, does this work? No, we need to do it this way, blah, blah. It's
Okay.
not necessarily like a scene, but that was their headspace, was that I really like that they would lab in with somebody and like do whatever they want. And then once they were confident what they were labbing in, they would scene out. And I was like, that is a great
It's like
way.
a reward for doing the hard work
Yes.
of all of the practicing and the figuring out and the problem solving. And it's not always fun for everybody to do that. And it takes a lot of mental work and it takes a lot of patience. And that was their whole concept of lab in, scene out, because if you get through all the things that you need to do, then you get a reward at the end.
And
then you
that
get to do the scene.
led into the open carabiner, because like when you're labbing, when you're suspended, you're going to be fucking tired if you're having to tie all that stuff, like you said.
Yeah.
And it was just they've talked about their body and like mindset, and I appreciated everything they had to say about that, because they brought so many new perspectives to it that I had never thought of.
Right.
And
They spent, they have a very long history of doing tying, of being a rigger, being a bottom. They provided, Air provided their bio, and they have done this, they do it professionally all over the world.
Yeah. They had really good things to say too when they started their class on Sunday about
So aren't you sad you missed
self-care.
the
I'm not. I'm still not.
the Saturday class?
No qualms. They had a lot of good things to say too about self-care, and that self-care can mean anything you want it to mean. And just because you're tying with yourself doesn't mean that you just all of a sudden don't have access to self-care because you're not tying with somebody else. And they made it a big point to mention that self-care is something that everybody deserves, and it can look like whatever you want it to, and to build those things into your self-tying routines so that you're not burning out and so that it is something that stays enjoyable.
That's
Nice.
awesome.
All right, so moving on to the next class, held by
Yes.
Red Honey Ropes.
Mika had left at this point because they were hot, and
It was
I
hot.
had to go catch
Well,
a
and
flight.
I had to go home and check on my dog before I took Lilith to the airport.
Yeah, but I was so like honed in that I was like not leaving the summit until like the very last minute, basically. So I got to watch the first part of Red Honey Ropes class on the Agura, and it was amazing. The way that they talked about it is that the Agura had been their hyperfixation for like a very long time, and I have struggled with tying an Agura for so long. It's the same with the Fudos. It's the way your leg is shaped. It's so hard. And just watching them do that demo was the same as like watching them perform. Like they just know their body so well, and they just did it so effortlessly. And the feedback that they gave us was so good. Like tips and trips that just simple stuff like you are literally anchoring your foot to your thigh. And I'm like, that is a great way to look at it. And then just watching it is they're so skillful because they were going to suspend from this, and an Agura basically immobilizes you from like the hips down. Your legs are tied in. You can't move your legs at all. And watching them like tie it, and I was so mad I didn't see them suspend it. But
The strength that it takes to lift yourself off the ground when your legs are completely immobilized is insane.
it's crazy.
I
I
need
didn't
to go
think
back to the
about
gym
that.
more.
Yeah, I didn't think
Yes.
about that.
Yeah, so again, just props to all the performers and teachers because they did an amazing job. Everybody was so friendly. I learned
Yes.
so much. Super sad we didn't get to see the last one. We saw pictures on FetLife of what Dirt Queen and Air ended up lapping out, and it was beautiful.
Okay.
Right. I did see that picture
It
as well.
was amazing. And from what I heard from others, the last class was really just labbing on the skills you had built up in self-suspension the whole day.
Right.
Okay.
So-
And that would be perfect. It's a perfect way to end the day and the summit.
It's to put it into practice.
Yes.
In a supervised and safe environment.
Right.
That's awesome.
Well,
I'm so glad we
yep.
got to go.
I am too. And, you know, we're getting close to ending this episode. I know it's been said in a couple other episodes. I know it was discussed when we talked about the performances. But Snap Ginger, thank you for putting this summit on.
We know that Captain Leviathan is your second hand, and
Yep.
you have multiple
Between
times.
you two,
Mhm.
you've done an excellent job. First time doing a 3-day convention, 3-day summit. The people that was there, everybody was engaged.
Yes.
Everybody was wanting to learn. There was a lot of great questions. But again, for those two, awesome job putting together this. I definitely look forward to seeing more. Hopefully it's in the
I'm
works
so glad
for them.
you guys were able to attend the second day and come here and come on the podcast and talk about it, because I was really upset. But on the flip side, I had made a commitment that I couldn't.
Yes.
I couldn't.
Right.
And I truly was so grateful that I had finally been given the opportunity to get the tools that I wanted in my toolbox to be able to go to the next step and do the next thing. And as amazing and irreplaceable as these conferences are, you also can learn the information from the people around you and from your friends. And now people around you have the skills that maybe they're at a different level than you are, and you want to learn from them, or they want to learn from you. And that's the beauty of community.
Yep. And with that being said, if anybody sees anything from Subtech Sadie, Air, Red Honey Ropes, Dirt Queen, if they do any
Snap
more
Ginger.
classes, performances, make sure and check them out. If you're interested in rope, they done a fabulous job, not only with the performances, but doing the classes. Definitely very well educated.
We just gave a breakdown of what occurred, but honestly,
Yep.
you gotta go.
You got to go.
Yeah,
So,
you just gotta go.
Get on
Night Night,
FetLife
Rope 101
There you
every
go.
month.
every
Like
month. AFK.
What day is it on?
It's a Thursday. It's either
The second Thursday of every month.
Subtext Sadie, Snap Ginger, all of them go through and teach the class.
Yep.
Highly recommend it.
There's always an opportunity for a one-on-one.
And with that, Mika and Lilith, thank you for coming here and helping us
Yay.
with the
It was so much
Thank
fun.
you for having us.
Master Nick is like, we're done with you two.
Now you need a real nap.
now I'm going to go probably do a few shots of bourbon and lay down for a nap.
And audit the nap.
And I'll have to nap. Until next time, stay tuned. Find us on YouTube, subscribe, give us a follow, drop us a comment. Let us know what you're interested in us talking about. Or if you're even interested in coming on the show, we are always looking for local people to discuss their kinks and fetishes. So give us a shout out. Till next time, y'all have a good week.
Bye. Please follow, like, and share our podcast.
Make sure to visit thedomlife.com, where you can find pictures and other details about the Dom Life podcast. And through the Contact Us button, you can ask questions or provide recommendations for future episodes.
We want to explore your kink too.
Be sure to check out upcoming events to see where our adventures are taking us and our photo gallery to where we've been.
Thank you for joining us on this journey. We hope you had fun listening and learning with us.
Till next time, keep calm and remember your safe word.
Red, red, red.